I get knocked down, but I get up again. You're never going to keep me down. You got to love those one-hit wonders from the 90s. What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. I'm your host, Michael, and today we're going to be talking about A24's latest film, Y2K. So a little information about me. I was born in the 80s. Damn! But I definitely grew up in the 90s. I was a little boy. I was a young man. I was a youngling. And I definitely remember the Y2K scare of 1999. Also known as the Millennium Bug, which basically means that everyone was afraid that the computers couldn't really process the year 00, the year 2000. So they thought that the power plants and the missiles and the transportation system, everything was going to go crazy, and also possibly bring in Skynet, which is like AI. So everybody was truly terrified. I think I was like 10 or 11 during this time period. I was a little kid, but I was looking out the window at nighttime. I was actually scared for my family. That's where the movie takes place. These two high school nobodies, these two kids, they want to go to this high school party for New Year's Eve, and it's going to ring in the new millennium, and they're trying to become popular. They're kind of on the outskirts, and obviously there's some romance involved, but the big twist is that this night turns out to be crazier than they ever anticipated.
A few hours, you have an excuse to kiss the girl of your dreams. Y2K is real.
That's another thing about the late 90s is that it was the time for raunchy comedies, especially these high school movies, and they kind of set the standard for big parties and, you know, young men growing up trying to, you know, get some romance, I should say, and like American Pie and, you know, Road Trip. Some of these movies kind of set the new standard for rom-coms and raunchy comedies in the late 90s. This movie stars Jaden Martell, Rachel Zegler, and Julian Dennison. Jaden Martell is that kid from 90’s Out, and he's also in It, and he's got something. He's got that quirky, like, white kid from high school thing going on. I'm not sure if he's necessarily the next Michael Cera or Jesse Eisenberg, but he's got something. He's got that awkward white boy thing going on. And then, of course, you got Rachel Zegler, who is the controversial Snow White, Snow Tan, Columbia. She's Disney's downfall. And then you got Julian Dennison, and he's the kid from Deadpool 2. He's an acquired taste. He's an acquired taste, but he's pretty funny. I think you're going to enjoy him. I feel like the movies are missing this raunchy high school coming of age category lately. There hasn't been a really good one since Superbad. So once I saw that Jonah Hill was a producer, it definitely piqued my interest. What really draws me to this movie is that when you're in high school and middle school, there's that girl that you really like, and you're trying to do everything you can to get her to notice you, and she's always with the wrong guy. He's a jerk, and she still likes him. So I can really relate, and that's what this movie is about. It's also about making friends with people who you weren't necessarily friends with, or they're kind of bullies to you, but at the end of the night, you guys end up bonding, and that's always a good story.
This has been the shittiest night of my life.
Also, the action was pretty good in this movie as well. It wasn't overplayed. It wasn't like you're watching Terminator or something like that. It was subtle. It was good. It felt like an 80s and 90s sci-fi movie. Y2K features a lot of throwbacks and memory berries from my childhood, like AOL and Bill Clinton on the news. Of course, it has a lot of those high school cliques, those different tropes. You had like the white kids with the dreadlocks. You had the kids wearing the skater shoes, and everybody used to call them poser. Do you remember that? When you wore those skater shoes, but you didn't even skate? Poser! The scene with one of the kids working out with his mom doing Taibo. Do you remember Taibo and those workout tapes? And then one of the best parts of the movie is they go to like this Blockbuster Video, and then there's like a hidden section on the side where only adults are allowed to go. And they have that little barrier that you walk through, and it's got those nasty movies in there. Those were better days. So when you're watching this movie and you're from that era, you're going to be pointing, look, oh my God, do you remember that? Do you remember that? There's plenty of those in this movie. So as you can see from the trailers, the computers and the electronics do take over, and they become evil, and they start killing people. And it's just really funny. Some of them are really downright hilarious, and some of them are really gross. Now let's get into some of the negatives about this movie. This is Kyle Mooney's directorial debut, and you can kind of tell that it's his first time around, which is fine. You don't need to hit it out of the park every time you're a new director. You can tell that there is some footage missing. The way they edit this movie, there's a scene or two that definitely feels chopped up, a little weird, like as if he didn't have enough footage. But overall, pretty good job. Also, no spoilers, but one of the funnier guys, he got killed off pretty quickly, and I was a little disappointed because I thought he was going to be in the movie the whole time. But, you know, there's always room for twists and turns. I can appreciate that. There's also a couple of characters in here that are way too old to be dating a high schooler. So that kind of took me out of the movie because I know that they're in their 20s or like mid-20s, and they're over here dating one of the high school kids. So it kind of took me out of it. The casting could have been slightly altered a little bit. Overall, Y2K was a pretty fun ride. It had a lot of great tunes, a lot of great music that you're going to really tap your foot to. One major musician is in this movie, and it is great. We needed a movie like this that's kind of thinking outside of the box. This is one of those movies that if high schoolers watch it today, they're totally not going to get it. They're not going to get what we went through and how the 90s and the early 2000s were. They were just a unique time period, and I'm glad this movie brought it back to life. And that's why I'm giving Y2K
No, don't do it!
a B-. Or an 81 if you're a numbers guy. So that's it, guys. What do you remember about the late 90s? What are some of your favorite times during the Y2K era? And what do you think about the kids dressing like that time frame right now? They're wearing the same exact things 25 years later. So come and get it. Give me something to break. Give me something to break.